Welcome, everyone, to the Lakers Fast Break Nightcap. I'm your host, Joe Soro. Yes, Jay, it is 11 o'clock at night, but entertainment, Lakers basketball, Dodgers baseball, sports never sleeps. And I'm in kind of my Sean Grice mode right now where I'm going to be staying up, even though I've done about 20,000 things today. So uh, Gerald kind of set the stage already for me before I committed, so I had to commit at this point. I was telling them, "Hey, I got to see how the night develops. I have a lot of things going on, but I'll let you know." And of course, I get on YouTube, and it's the nightcap at 11 o'clock, so I had to commit. So thank you all for being here tonight. I was spitting some good stuff here with my Australian brothers the last few hours. They kept me entertained while I was working too. So guys, thank you for that. And now I'm here. Now I'm here to discuss some things here on an off night for the Lakers, and maybe talk a little bit Dodger baseball as well, and any other thing that kind of comes up. I am going to Arizona tomorrow, finally, to go see. I'm working on possibly seeing the Seattle Mariners on Friday, and then they play the White Sox on Saturday. I'll be back on Sunday, but I will be mobile tomorrow, so I will likely either bring my equipment to Arizona or I will be mobile on my mobile and be able to talk to everyone when the Knicks game starts and completes as well as doing the post game. So looking forward to doing that. Let's see here. 2025 is the year. So Jay, it's funny that you brought that up because I've been reading a lot about that here today. The excitement in LA sports before the Olympics come here. What is it? 2028. I mean, there's going to be there's going to be kind of a connection to what's going to happen here in the next 2 to 3 years in LA. And even though it's already happening now, think about this for a second. So the Olympics are coming in 3 years, and then you're going to have Luka, who will have just turned 29, and I'm going to safely say that he's going to be a Laker. He's going to resign. It's inevitable. I have full confidence in that. And then you're going to see the Dodgers likely in an area where they're probably making a legitimate dynasty run. And a lot of people have said they're sort of already there, considering how well they've played since 2013. The extended dynasty is what I say, just because of some of the mishaps that they have had prior to this year. The one win they had in 2020, and of course the 2 years where they were cheated out of. And it may have been a different scenario. It could have been a 20-year run, whereas I think right now I wouldn't necessarily say they're a dynasty. It's too soon. Two is not enough in my book, even if it's been a competitive what would be 12 years, 13 years. But if they start winning, let's say they win this year and they win next year, let's say they three-peat, that would be four in, what is that, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. So that's 4 in 7 years. I'd say that's a dynasty. But they're going to have more time, guys. Ohtani has 9 years left on his contract. The Dodgers made sure this year that they were equipped not only in the front line, but also the middle line, the back line, and also a line that we don't even know who's going to come out of. And they've been acquiring certain players also, if you've been following like I have, players that if those guys start to have good years, now you're going to have even more talent there available for the Dodgers to do what they need to do. But I'm gonna kind of stick to the Laker topic here a little bit more before we get into the Dodger topic. The Lakers right now are getting a lot of publicity in kind of the process of excellence right now. LeBron is getting a lot of GOAT talk again. Luka is getting a lot of praise for being who he is. It's interesting how up and down these discussions are on what is what. I have a hard time understanding how anyone thought that Luka Doncic coming to LA was going to be a problem. And the smear campaign that is obviously looking pretty official now. Never made sense. I heard a line where they said, "Well, we didn't want to commit." We, as in the Adelsons, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, they didn't want to commit to someone who wasn't going to last for the long haul. I think it was Nico Harrison actually that talked about that too, and talked about that they're looking for like a Kobe type or a Kyrie type that's going to, put in the work and last a long time. Well, what didn't make sense about that is, did they forget that Luka's 25, at least at the time of the trade? So if you felt like he wasn't going to last 10 more years, don't you think you'd want to at least cover 5 of those years? Do you see Luka really breaking down in the next year or two? Did that pulled calf really scare you that much to the point where you thought this guy was going to have calf problems for the rest of his career? It just doesn't seem like these guys really are observant. So, but then again, the cynical side of me says, is it really being observant or just there's some kind of power trip here? Folks, when you're dealing with people that have that kind of resource and they feel maybe marginalized by someone who doesn't have their resources, this is my assumption here, guys. This isn't anything that I've put in writing that I know for sure. But when you're got that kind of ego, and Dallas knows all about this, by the way. If any city has known about when the owner gets insecure, things go very, very badly. And Edelson took a little bit of a page from Jerry Jones, and decided to napalm his own franchise because of some imaginary thing, in my view. Jerry Jones in the 90s decided to fire the coach who brought him back-to-back championships, who drafted all the players that he drafted, all those Hall of Famers, all those guys that were phenomenal football players, and he ended up winning a couple of years later because of those same players. And then once those players retired, Jerry Jones is still looking for an NFC championship appearance, let alone a Super Bowl. This is since 1996. Now, 1996, that's the actual year they were there. It was actually technically the 95 season, which was the last year they won the Super Bowl. So imagine that. Imagine looking at that as a barometer. Are the Dallas Mavericks going to be the next Dallas Cowboys for the next 30 years because of one stupid decision? I don't know. I don't know about this casino thing that they got going on. I don't know if anything there has anything to do with anything. I have a hard time believing that the team that had the best ticket sales last year all of a sudden wants to downgrade their team so much to move to Vegas. And is Adam Silver really that dumb? Like, is that something he's going to allow to happen? Are the owners going to allow for the Dallas Mavericks to move to Vegas? I don't know necessarily if that's something you want to do. But I feel bad for the Dallas fans. I don't feel bad for the ownership. I think Nico Harrison is a scapegoat. I think he's taken it in the chin for probably a lifetime a lifetime job. Now, he might not stay as a GM in Dallas, but I believe that the Edelsons, because he's taken the bullets for him, I think he'll always have some kind of connection to them where they take care of him. Oh boy, the White Mamba. No, Intel. I think the Don is really really catching on to me. I like calling them the Don. I think we're going to start calling them the Don. White Mamba. There's only one. There's only one. White Mamba, guys. It's Brad Scalabrini, man. Come on, you guys gotta give that guy some credit. Okay, he's really good on the Sirius NBA channel, and he's the White Mamba. You guys remember who the Red Mamba was? Let's see how good your trivia is for the Lakers. I mean, in the NBA. Do you guys remember who the Red Mamba was? I'll give you a hint. He played for the San Antonio Spurs. You give me the answer, and I will give you a thumbs up. We got to start getting some prizes in here too, by the way, guys. I know we've been lacking in giving out prizes, but I plan on doing some things once my show starts to where I can start throwing some nice things your way. And again, I'll do it here too, but Matt Bonner, there you go, buddy. Eric, I owe you something. Let me think about it, and I'll get back to you. The Larry Bird really didn't have a nickname. He was Kobe gave himself the Black Mamba name, but I think Kobe didn't need a nickname. Just his name Kobe was enough. Larry was the same way. Just the fact that his name was Bird. That's all you heard Bird, you knew exactly who it was. Magic had his name. It was Magic. Everyone knew who Magic was. So I don't think he necessarily needed a nickname. And the Don is something that I kind of it just flows well because he's the boss, right? The Don is considered the boss, and Luka plays like a boss. Last night was a very good example of what kind of skill set this guy has, and it just amazes me how anyone could forget that. I think those who forgot are starting to be reminded of it, and I think it's going to go. I think it's going to stick at some point here. Cool Hand Luka, Bloodhound. I think I like that one. Cool Hand Luka. That's a good one. Let's see here. Let me catch up to some of your guys' chats here. How about a Joe Soro quote of the night segment? Smishin, let me get in the zone here, and then I'll see if I can get a good quote going. Let's see how the subject line turns up. Let's see. Where are we here? Let me get back to some of your guys' comments. Well, look who decided to show.
Sorry, just catching up on some things before I had to come on the air. What's going on, man?
I'm just.
I gave a link to Xbox, so hopefully Xbox will join us as well. So
good. Yeah. Again, we were talking pretty much the entire evening. It was a good evening with the Australian brothers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But no, I was. I know they were those guys. Shout out to them, SB, and also as well Xbox and CCGO3, and all the guys that stopped by, Nick and everyone else that stopped by. Playback for the game that they wanted to go ahead and showcase, which was OKC helping us out even more by beating Memphis. So Memphis is a little bit down lower on the food chain. Actually, with their 2 games behind the Lakers now, as far as overall.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate Sacramento couldn't close out Denver. They had a pretty good lead. I think it was 9 points going to the fourth quarter. Yeah. Couldn't close them out. If that had happened, the Lakers would have been up 2 in the loss column against even Denver. And if the Lakers if they win tomorrow, would have allowed them to continue to keep that pace. So it's looking like if the Lakers can really do well here in the next couple weeks, meaning let's say if they play a total of 7 games and they win 5 out of the 7, I feel pretty strong I feel strongly that they're probably going to get really, really official with number 3 at least with the 3. And then they can start battling Denver for the number 2 for the next 3 weeks after that. That's kind of how I see it. Bloodhound, Joe, this might have been a cost-saving measure by the new owners. They didn't want to pay Luka the Supermax. This trade makes no sense for them. Okay, so the reason why I put that up there, Bloodhound, is so when you get away from the drama, when you get away from the BS, the imaginary stuff, the smear campaign, this might make the most sense. It doesn't make sense to me, and obviously a lot of Maverick fans, but they said to them, let's say it's true. Let's say they said, we are not giving a Supermax to this player because a Supermax would have been making, what, 70 million, G? 70 million, right? We're not paying this guy $70 million so that he can ruin his calf every other year. I think that's probably what they thought. Now,
well, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because I just really wanted to discuss, because that's been the topic in the NBA all week, and especially after what happened with Kyrie. Is this the worst month and 3-4 days ever for a franchise in the NBA? And I don't know if you want to go into sports and find another correlation to that, but in the NBA,
I have one.
I know. Well, I was going to say, I know that they were trying to do the decision with LeBron on it, but that's one individual and that didn't lead to a whole chain of events after that. This was a stupid decision compounded by other things because of it. I know Kid says that the with Luca, with Kyrie, it wasn't the oh, we're not playing him too much. We're not playing too much. But the facts are he was going on 39 minutes, averaging close to 40 minutes a game before he blew out his knee. So that couldn't have helped. Plus what happened to AD, plus all the centers that are going on there. This is probably the worst I've ever seen it in an NBA in a month, for a little over a month for an NBA team. But you have something in mind that competes with that, Joe. What is it?
Yes, I do. And it's not in the same breath, but it's in the same effect, likely. And it just so happens to involve the city of Dallas. It's Dallas that was involved, except they were the recipients of the benefit of that trade. So, Black, I'm going to get to you in a second here. Gerald asked a question. I think it's important to compare this to something in my lifetime that I could probably put as an equivalent because of what ended up happening. And it was we were just discussing Jerry Jones in Dallas and Jimmy Johnson in the 90s. So check this out, Gerald. The Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings. You remember that trade, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I remember that trade. I was like,
okay.
Man, that's a lot for Herschel Walker.
So Herschel Walker at that time, folks, was like the Saquon Barkley of running backs at the time. Herschel Walker, standout All-American out of Georgia, Heisman Trophy winner, won a national title with Georgia, was the star. And back then, running backs were what quarterbacks are now. So Jerry Jones buys the Dallas Cowboys in 1988. They have the worst season they ever had, going 1-15 the year they drafted Troy Aikman in 1989. And then after that, they traded Herschel Walker. And I'm gonna put this together here because it's one of the most stunning trades that's ever happened, right? So they traded 4 players, and at the time, the only name I remember it being like kind of like a good player in my view at the time was Isaac Holt. But they had 3 other players, right? And with those 4 players for Herschel Walker, the Dallas Cowboys received a first-round pick in 1990, which they ended up getting Emmitt Smith. They got a second-round pick in 1990, a sixth-round pick in 1990. Now, here's where the trade gets really juicy for Dallas. Contingent on cutting any of those 4 players. Check out what happened, Gerald. So they got another first-round pick for cutting Jesse Solomon. He was one of the players that they traded. So those 4 players all had contingencies. So if they cut Jesse Solomon, they get a first-round pick. If they cut David Howard, he was another guy, they get a second-round pick in 1991. If they cut Isaac Holt, they get another first pick in 1992. And if they cut Alex Stewart, let me see here. They got Darren Nelson. Was it Darren Nelson? Condition met by trading away. So there was a condition where a lot of people don't know this, but the San Diego Chargers were like the 3rd team in that deal. They received Darren Nelson, who was a running back that no one knew about. And that was met by trading Nelson, and they ended up getting a second-round pick in 1992. I know it's confusing, but that's how they did that trade. And then, of course, they got a 3rd-round pick in 1992 for cutting Stewart, which is the 4th guy they traded. And then Minnesota got Herschel Walker, Dallas's 3rd-round pick, San Diego's 5th-round pick, Dallas's 10th round, and 3rd-round pick in 1990-91. So they essentially got, for Herschel Walker, they got 3 first-round picks, and you all know how big first-round picks are in the NFL. Now, those are 3 first-round picks, and then they have their own first-round picks. So those years, they had 6 first-round picks in those 3 years that they got those picks for that trade. And then on top of that, they had 3 other second-round picks, counting their second-round picks. So they had 6 first-round picks and 6 second-round picks. Is it no wonder that these guys won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years? And the 1992 – go ahead.
But the only thing I say is that was based off of that trade, that really, really bad trade. And I agree with you. That is a trade that's consequential enough to be in the statute of the Luka. But I'm talking about the immediate after effects and the fallout from it. Have you ever seen such a fallout in such an immediate fashion? Because, that Herschel Walker trade, they didn't, that was done in the summer, if I believe, correct? That was done, or was,
off season,
so it was done the off season. So there was still time,
No, Gerald, no. There's nothing that can compare to this. Honestly, from my view, I've been thinking, like, seriously, I've been thinking, what trade really, even in hockey, like, I know the Gretzky thing is
everything after that has happened since that is really compounded. It is about all this bad luck that has befallen the Mavs. And I've been going back to We Talk Mavs, not for a mean purpose, but you notice we haven't seen Frank on here lately,
right?
In quite some time. He is there at We Talk Mavs, but it's like a funeral, man. And I really starting to feel for those guys because they're working hard like us every single day, putting out content every single day, and to hear it's really hard for them to put out content. You and I have talked about before how there are certain days, just like with any job, there are certain days that you and I just don't have it, but we got to go push through it, right? These are those days for them at We Talk Mavs right now. These are those days because they were down by 35 today against Milwaukee. It was ugly. It was bad. And it's just like it's a funeral there. And all these fans, they're all depressed. And not only top of that, on top of all the injuries, Joe, on top of everything else, the statements by the owner, the statements by the general manager, not once do they mention the work ethic of Dirk Nowitzki, the most popular player outside of Luka in Dallas history. They also, man, on top of everything else, they raised the prices for next season by over 12 to 15% for next season.
I think it was 8%.
No, they were saying it's 12.5, 15%. Somebody said double, but I don't think somebody.
Gerald, these guys are billionaires. These people are billionaires. They have analytical guys. They know. Look, Jerry Jones has been flushing his team down the toilet for 30 years. And people still are going to Cowboy Stadium, paying $80 for a beer, paying $100 for parking.
So the average increase is 8.6. Depending on where you're at.
They know they don't care about the diehards anymore. They don't care about the diehards anymore. They don't need the diehards anymore. They don't need fans in football anymore. Now, in basketball, to some degree, you can say that they still benefit from having a crowd because football is geared towards TV. They've created that sport to be serviceable, functional on TV, whereas baseball's more live. It's baseball's just better live, no matter how you slice it. You go to a baseball game, it goes faster. The sounds of baseball are better than on TV. It's 81 times. If you have a season ticket at a place, it's 81 games. So you don't have a lot of pressure of, I got to go get to these 8 games and they're going to be expensive. You can get yourself really, really low tickets when there's 81 games to go play or go watch. Basketball, it's similar too. They're 41 games, but they're still expensive. They're kind of in the middle. I always say, like, they're in the middle. They're like NFL and a little bit of baseball as well, because I do like watching basketball live. I prefer it live. Football, if you don't have good seats, sometimes it's difficult to watch football. It's better to watch it on TV because they make it easy. You have the first down line now, and They're going to be doing the sticks now where it's all, CG'd. So they make it real easy to watch it on TV and not want to go to the game. But in terms of what's going on in Dallas, so I don't think I've really gotten into the details of this. And as soon as I finish here, I'll head on over to Mark here real quick. The
fact that he's still here is a great thing, Joe.
Well,
yes.
Mark and Sports Baby and I have been pretty much dialoguing for the last 6 hours.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. It was
your mic's not on, by the way. We can hear it, but it's like an auxiliary mic. On.
Okay, here I'm gonna paint this picture as much as I can because there's always a lot of hyperbole. There's a lot of instant emotion and a lot of things. But it's been a while here, right? It's been a month and 4 days, a month and 6 days. No, a month and 7 days. I keep forgetting. February is a 28-day month, right? So there's been a little over a month, and this has had a chance to marinate. The emotions have somewhat kind of settled in one way or the other. Okay, for the Lakers, and especially for us, especially for me, I have been humbled. I've been humbled by what we thought our ownership was and how they were operating. And then you see what's going on in Dallas and go, wow, we were pretty clueless on how bad an ownership can be. We thought our team was being run terribly. And there were instances where it was, but maybe sometimes you just got to be patient. Sometimes things don't kind of run your way. And as a fan base, you kind of got to be able to identify that instead of being emotional about it. So one thing that I've humbled myself in this is I know that we're not going to have to ever deal with somebody like the Edelsons, at least not anytime soon. And that is the enemy here. I don't think it's Nico Harrison. I don't have any ill will towards Dallas Maverick fans. They don't particularly ever really. They've never really shown me to be a fan base that's kind of obnoxious and abhorrent. They're not the Celtics fans in certain instances, or Portland or Utah. I've never really paid attention too much to the Dallas Maverick fan. I just haven't. I do know that they were the best in terms of supporting their team at their live in their games. That's something to say. Why are the Edelsons doing what they're doing? There's no other way to look at it other than they didn't want to pay Luka $350, and they saw some things that they didn't like that he was doing, and they assumed that it would get worse. What else could it be? Now, Black is back. Black is back. We all know what happened with him when John last time. Black thinks there's some kind of conspiracy. Guys, do you ever get tired of your bullshit?
It's right there with the frozen envelope, Joe.
Like, you actually think that Adam Silver went over to Dallas and said, what was that?
I think Mark was figuring out why if the Ewing lottery back in the day when the New York Knicks won the lottery.
I remember that.
The common conspiracy theory is that it was a cold envelope. Somebody put the actual envelope containing the Knicks in the refrigerator or the freezer so that when David Stern would pick it, it was a cold envelope. So, yes.
Okay.
The frozen envelope.
What person pulled that out of their ass and created that? And I'm sure you have evidence of this cold envelope.
Nobody has evidence of it, but again, it's the way our society's been. I mean, people just think, oh, these conspiracy theories, on politics have just been started recently. No, they've been doing it for decades. I mean, before you and I were born. Oh, I'm a man of the 60s, just barely though. But even before I was born, people were like on acid trips, just coming up with wild stories and things like that about the government, about just life in general, things like that. It's just, again, we've been hearing these conspiracy theories about stuff like sports, politics, and stuff for decades now. This is not new about the conspiracy theory that they want to go ahead and suck because they want to go ahead and move to Las Vegas, blah 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 blah. It just again, or the Luka trade was done just to get the NBA involved. The NBA got involved just so they could put Luka in a major market, et cetera, et cetera. That's just all bull. That's all bull. And you know it.
Okay.
Absolutely know it.
All right, folks. So it's y'all act like there haven't been bad owners that made bad mistakes in sports. This isn't anything new, folks.
But don't forget I got a question for you, by the way. Don't let me forget to ask you that.
Go ahead, ask me.
Do you think they should, with the Kyrie injury, and he won't be good until what, this time next year? Do you think they should trade AD in the offseason? Go ahead, Xbox. Let me hear you.
Is it working? You can hear me, Joe?
Yes.
And
I can hear you.
Hey, testing. Barca.
Is it Barca or Barca?
Well, look, I think you guys say it Barca, but I say Barca.
I've always heard it's Barca.
Barca, yeah.
I always heard of Barca. The first time I said it was
Barca.
Barca, but you said Barca, so I wanted to respect you and say Barca.
Yeah, well, I mean, for us, we say Barcelona, so sort of Barca. Yeah, but I think Americans say Barca. That's fine.
When I hear commentating, it's always Barca.
Yeah, there you go. But
I heard Barca for 2 years when I was an engineer for a soccer show.
Gotcha. No, that's cool. I think it's like tomato.
Okay, now you guys got me all
You know what's funny?
My brain is now like one way Barca, the other way Barca.
You know what's funny? The host of the internet radio show that I did that I engineered. So Brian the Doc Holiday, he was this Irish guy, right? And it's funny. These guys talk soccer for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it was, and they were entrenched in it. It was life to these guys. They were coaches. They lived in Ireland. They Bunza leagues and the Champions League. Like they were all into that stuff, right? So I remember one time I made a comment about American football, and they looked at me like I should not. They're so respectful.
Yeah,
it was such a respectful response too, but they looked at me like I was a child. Oh, Joe.
They got offended by the football comment.
Well, I was talking like I was trying to be like a tough guy a little bit, but not disrespectful. Just men football in America, and then they were just like, Joe, men are talking here. That's a good one. Like just like completely shit on me on air. I never said anything again. Yeah, those who really are
blood nosy stuff.
Those who are look, man, soccer fans. We talked about this. I have a friend of mine who's he bows down to France, the national team.
Yeah,
loves Ronaldo. I can't even talk about Lionel Messi's bodyguard trying to protect him without him going. You're right. Like I've never been mad at somebody who like Jordan versus Kobe versus LeBron. Like I've never gotten pissed. Dude, it don't work like that in soccer, man. You mention Ronaldo in front of Messi people, they'll want to end your life. Vice versa. So I stay out of it. I'm just like, hey, look, I don't know enough. I know enough, like enough to understand the lingo, but I don't know enough to fight the fandom of those two factions.
I've been to a couple of Barcelona games, and in Spain, and also I've been to Madrid. That's where my mum is from, and she goes for Real. We won't hold that against her, but you can't wear a Barcelona jersey in Real in Madrid, Joe. You'll get bashed. You just can't. And I'm sure you can wear a Celtics jersey with caution in LA, but yeah, you wear a Barcelona jersey in Madrid, it's game over. So yeah, it's insane. Like, and it's the same in England. I remember I went to watch Manchester City play, and I'd just been to the Manchester United store, and we had to hide all the shit we bought from Manchester United because they would have just clocked us. So they have ultras and stuff there, Joe, and you see it with the when national teams play, they go off, man. It is life and death, and basketball is to a degree, and NFL on that, but man, it's crazy. And then you could even tell by some of the messages I was sending this morning, SB was getting a little bit cheeky if he is out there. And I didn't
He still is.
appreciate it. Yeah, I know. But his daughter loves Ronaldo, so we've got to change that quickly. But it's a different breed. And you know what you were talking about before with that trade? I'll just equate it to Barcelona really quickly. We won't go on about Barcelona all day, but basically, Barcelona sold in 2016 a player called Neymar Jr. to PSG.
Mm-hmm.
It's very famous Brazilian player that he got sold for the record fee of 223 million euros, or it might have been USD. An insane amount. Still the record to this day of a transfer fee of about 50-60 million above Mbappe, who recently got transferred to Real. But basically, Barca decided to spend that money on 2 players, okay? And their name was Philip Coutinho and Osama Dembele. And that killed our club, man. And, for several years, the investment of that money really put us back. And they bought the wrong players, similar maybe to what you're seeing here with the Mavs and the logic that they've gone through with the trade. If you make the wrong decision, man, it can put your club back years. And it hurt Barcelona. But we're back, man. We're back in a big way, and we had a great result this morning. So between Barca and LA, man, and Dodgers, we're flying. So
but no, I was saying earlier though that no franchise within a span of a little over a month has had the kind of fallout and chain of events happen after a dumb move like this, like we're talking about with that trade. And also Joe mentioned it as well with the Herschel Walker trade by the Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings. There is no precedent for what we're seeing now to this level of degree of I guess failure. Some of it is caused by them. Some of it's caused by just sheer bad luck. I've never seen this before, where the injuries and the stupidity all wrapped up in a nice, neat little month there. It's just absolutely crazy. But before you get into what Natalia's saying, I wanted to hear your thoughts in the off season, because both you guys, we were always talking about, in fact, Joe and I used to have, like earlier this season, we were having back and forth because I was on the trade AD train. And Joe, probably into January is when he started getting on that train. Now that he's no longer a member of the team, but seeing how Dallas is right now and see how they won't be able to have Kyrie on the court for a year, do you think maybe they should trade AD?
Well, I think they're going to listen to something. I think they're going to listen to an offer. And I would strongly, we're not going to know this because I have an idea of something. I have an idea.
We'll get to your question, Natalia.
Natalia, we'll get to it next. So here's why we have to wait to answer that question. If Oklahoma City, and they're playing really well right now, and Shai Gilgeous is starting to really make a case for MVP also, by the way. I'm not going to say he's going to win it yet. Something needs to happen drastically in the next 20 games. Either Jokic has to miss maybe 5 or 6 games for it to happen, or him not playing well, but he's going to be still playing like an MVP. But let's say if Oklahoma City flames out again in the playoffs, they have to consider this.
Yeah.
They have to consider it. So you send Dallas 4 first-round picks, Hartenstein, and maybe Jaden. I don't know, something like that.
I would go for some of their guards because they don't need big guys. They still have 2 7-footers roaming around. Hartenstein would help them, but that's kind of redundant for their parts.
I'm just saying. I'm trying to get to the contract.
Salaries.
Yeah, this is a salary game. and you are still replacing a big with another big. I think you really in this league you can never really have too many. But I would say I'm going to be monitoring Oklahoma City in case they don't make it. So you have who do you have that you would trade? I mean, if I'm Dallas, I want draft picks.
Yes,
I want
they've
draft
got
picks.
nothing between 27 and 31.
I want
Nothing.
draft picks. You're not going to get Shea Gilgeous, obviously. I guess
Look at Williams.
I think Jalen Williams he's not making a lot of money though. They're going to need to put more in there. So, do they do this deal? What's he making right now? He's making $50 million, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead.
Yeah.
So here's what I would do. Same as
LeBron.
You would have to decide as the Mavericks, do you want draft picks or do you want to compete? Can you compete? So let's say they want to compete. Let's just say they want to compete. You ask for Jalen Williams. That's not going to work either because of money. You have to get Hardenstein to make the contracts work. So here's what you do. That's not going to work either.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do. You're gonna do more than just. You're gonna do like a 2.
Okay, there's going to have to be fill-ins because they're not going to throw Chet Holmgren in there, right? There's no way they're going to do both Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren because I know they're going to want Chet Holmgren. Hey, give us Chet Holmgren and Hartenstein and 3 first-round picks, and we'll send you AD. Does Oklahoma City say, look, if we get AD, this puts us where we need to go, right? Or are they worried about his injury history? That's the other thing. Are they going to do that and risk it? I think they have to consider the option, but Presti he's not as obnoxious about it, but he does like his assets. And he might look at it as, look, I'm just going to be patient with this team and let it happen. I'm not going to just jump to something. Unless, of course, he finally gets tired or ownership says, look, we need to win a championship now. We got to stop getting our asses busted. This is the 2 years in a row where they're the first seed and they bow out. That usually doesn't happen. Usually when you're a first seed, you go all the way. So
I've got one for you. It would be a package like Hartenstein, Holmgren, Wiggins, and Williams for Davis and Gafford. That matches up money wise. So
what would you do, like, just straight up, guys, like AD for Hardenstein? What, like?
I think they have to.
Younger, man.
If Dallas is going to do this trade, they have to get assets.
Yeah,
Like
they have to get
assets.
picks.
Yeah.
They have any picks.
Now here's the problem, though. Here's the problem with their picks. They're pretty protected when I looked at them. And is there going to be value in those picks if Oklahoma City is consistently on top of the standings?
Yeah, but Oklahoma City has a surplus of picks as well.
Yeah,
still.
but okay. So let's say they give 3 first-round picks. If they're the late 20 picks for Dallas, I mean, you can find some gems.
But they don't have to give up their own.
Franchise changing. They're not going to get a Luka Doncic type player where he's a franchise player. You're not going to get those guys usually in the late 20s.
I know, but I'm just saying that they have OKC has other teams' picks. Remember.
I know. I've seen them. They're all protected.
Clipper swap rights. They've got a protected 1 to 5 with Denver. So that one could still be in the lottery. You could still use that one. I mean, they've got a ton in 28. They've got some in 29, still with Denver. They've still got some left over from the Clippers trade.
So
they've got a ton in 2030.
Let's get down the brass tacks.
Mm-hmm.
What does Dallas do if they don't do anything? What does Maverick fan do? Do they ever get over this? That's the question you want to ask. This isn't a question I care 2 shits about, by the way. I'm just making conversation.
But Xbox, would you trade AD or contemplate trading AD at the end of the season because of what happened with Kyrie?
Man, I wouldn't contemplate it from the other side. Like, obviously, the Mavs might want to, but I mean, why would OKC do any of
Well,
that?
it doesn't have to be OKC. Just
Yeah,
purely if
yeah.
you're
Well,
Dallas.
I
Do
don't
you
know.
sit
For
in the
me,
room? If we were
hell
Dallas,
no.
the boardroom right now are you ready to ponder that possibility because of what
Oh
happened?
yeah, man, they're all in for the tank right now. I would have thought. Like, they're probably thinking to shut AD down for the rest of the the season when he's potentially got to come back. So I think they're honestly thinking right now, after what's happened with Kyrie, is a full-on tank to see how far down the NBA ladder they can go with the potential to. I'm hearing the top 5 people in the draft this year are quite strong. Obviously, if you get the number 1 pick, you potentially have a generational talent, or a very, very, very solid talent there in Cooper. So, Dallas are possibly looking to blow it up quite quickly, but I don't know. Why you trade Luca and then you trade AD? I mean, geez, how many lives does Nico Harrison have? A cat has 9 lives. This guy's got what, 20? That doesn't really make sense, Gerald. But just like the other one we're not even talking about. What's Clay going to do? Clay might get to the offseason and say, "Hey boys, trade me because I came here to play with Luca."
He's got 3 years. He's got a terrible contract.
I know, but he's possibly not very happy right now because he's the only one that's currently playing, and he didn't go there to to be
I know.
the main
Imagine that
man.
the guy with the worst set of injuries is the one that's still playing.
Yeah, the last man standing. So I mean, Dallas.
It's not a super bad contract. It's I want to correct myself. It's in the teens, like 15, 16, 17. So that's not too bad.
Well, that's not bad. Look, he might want to trade. We still don't know if Kyrie's going to re-sign. I mean, the Mavs are in a dark, dark place, and I'm not going to refer to the podcast that I've been watching because it's a rival essentially. But I've been watching a couple of Mavs podcasts, as I've told you boys.
Oh, we
privately.
talk Mavs. It's terrible. It's like a funeral.
Oh yeah, so we talk Mavs, or
they've been on the show. They're great guys. Those guys are awesome. Yeah.
And look, Locked On Mavs is something I've also been telling you about there, Gerald. And those guys today went to a dark, dark place. So I do feel sorry for them and guys like Black, but insane trade that will never make sense. So whatever happens now for Dallas, I'm not sure that franchise will ever be on an even
I would
keel,
think
certainly in our lifetimes.
I would seriously think about trying to recoup my assets. Since I know I can't be a championship level team because without Kyrie, they're not in that conversation.
No. But then what happened to everything that Nico said in that press conference about winning now? And I mean,
that went out with a knee injury, Mark.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
To hold on. You could try to hold on hope that this time next year they'll be decent enough when Kyrie comes back to the floor that they're in a position for a high level playoff spot. But those odds are long. No matter how many 7-footers that you got, unless they strike it rich in the draft or find a trade in the off season for something else that will get them there. But yeah,
it's a great point, crazy. Gerald. But I mean, why they even thought Kyrie could carry a team is beyond me too. So
beyond me too.
Adios, Dallas.
Yes, adios indeed. Go ahead, Joe, with Natalia's great question. She had a great question as well about Mr. Michael Jordan, and wanted to know why you and I both think I don't know what Mark's position on this is. It's like Messi and Ronaldo.
Still out there?
Yeah, she's still out there.
Chime in.
Yeah, about.
Okay, folks, it's very important. It's very important to understand the difference between best player and having the best career in a team sport. I didn't watch Wilt Chamberlain play. I barely saw Kareem play. Never saw Bill Russell play. Really didn't see Dr. J play. So I can't give you guys any comparison to those things. I didn't see Jerry West play. Didn't see Elgin Baylor play. Didn't see any of these guys play, so I can't really pre-1990. I can't really give you guys any true assessment on what those guys' skill set were from an individual standpoint. However, Michael Jordan, folks, I saw in his prime. I saw Kobe Bryant in his prime, and I've seen LeBron James in his prime. And I have never seen a more skilled basketball player, more determined, with the accomplishments than Michael Jordan. There's no way you will ever convince me that anyone was a better basketball player from every facet of the game than Michael Jordan. He just was better at playing basketball than anyone I've ever seen. And LeBron James and Kobe Bryant are out of this world amazing, which should tell you how amazing Michael was. Kobe didn't have the extra gear, God-given extra gear that Michael had. It wasn't his fault. He drained that towel for every drop of liquid he could. And it should be commended. It should be commended. But he didn't have the athleticism that Michael had, and that separates him from Kobe. Because if Kobe had Michael's athleticism, it likely would have meant a different career for Kobe. He would have been a dual player. He would have been the true carbon copy. He was close, but he just physically didn't have what Michael had. Now, LeBron James is an anomaly in himself. He is a 6'8", 250-pound freight train, controlled freight train, who can dribble the ball, rebound, do all the things in basketball that we marvel at. But he's just not as skilled as Kobe or Michael, especially Michael, in terms of being able to get to a spot, make a jumper, hit last second shots on a with regularity in big games. It's hard to have this discussion without someone who's been there for both eras. It's very difficult because you had to have seen it live. You can't just look at highlights, and you can't just listen to guys on TV. You had to have been watching this live to truly understand how different that guy was. And if you're going to compare eras in terms of the skill sets and try to make your excuse on what is and what isn't, you're not doing yourself any favors in there as well. You're going to try to convince someone that, well, this era was more skilled than it was in the 90s. Okay, how do you base that skill? Because you shoot more threes now? If you think that Michael Jordan wouldn't have adapted his game to make more threes, you're out of your mind. All these guys could have adapted to today's game. As a matter of fact, those guys played harder, longer, and played every game virtually at a time where it wasn't as soft as it is now. So imagine if those guys had that mentality playing in this era. You guys had the players that you have right now wouldn't have a chance. So in the end, this is how I'm going to put it, because I think this discussion is somewhat redundant. Michael Jordan will never be topped, in my view. He is the greatest physical basketball specimen I've ever seen. And he has the stats too, folks. He just didn't play 22 years, but the guy played 15 years. Go look at his statistics on top of the winning. The guy won 10 scoring titles. 10! Okay?
In 11 seasons, Joe?
Huh?
How many? Sorry, in 15 seasons, 10 and...
So he won the scoring title 10 years straight in the 10 full seasons he played from 98
It's insane.
and behind that, right? He won 6 NBA championships, won 6 finals MVPs, won 5 MVPs, should have won 7. Won Defensive Player of the Year in 1988, scored over 3,000 points in 1987. Another reminder for you guys, okay, guys? I want you guys to focus when I say this, okay? He had a year where he dropped 32 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. He could have averaged, almost averaged a triple-double, scoring 32 points a game. The guy was the best athlete I've ever seen other than Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson, from an athletic standpoint, I don't know if anybody will ever top that. That guy was a once in a, not a century, not a lifetime, once in a millennial player. I don't think you'll ever see another Bo Jackson in our time. I just don't see it. Props to Deion Sanders too. The fact that he played baseball and football, people should give him props for that. He's humble about it, but the fact that Deion Sanders almost batted 300 in baseball when he said he wasn't really that good at hitting a curveball was pretty amazing. He was a better football player. That's just how it worked out. And of course, he's done what he's done, and there's no, you really can't say much other than good things about Deion and his career. But LeBron James, especially if he wins one more title, there will be no doubt he will have the greatest NBA career that's ever been created. Even better than Bill Russell, even better than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, in my view, based off of their statistics.
That Russell one, though, is hard to. That's a hard one to beat, though.
It is. However, you have to factor in a little bit there of opportunity and time. Okay, so here I'm going to explain this because I've done enough research on
eras,
this.
I get that.
It's not just that, Gerald. It's not just that. I'm not downgrading this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Bill Russell played with 4 Hall of Famers in his 13 years. Tommy Heinsohn, Sam Jones, Havlicek, Bob Cousy. I think there might be another one in there too. Those are the ones I remember. The man, and there was only 7 to 8. I think there was 9 teams one year when he won as well. So you had 7 to 9 teams in that era. You played one series before you got to the finals. You have to put competition and circumstance in this discussion, because if you don't, it doesn't make sense not to. So let's look at LeBron James, okay? This is where this didn't play out for him, unfortunately. This could have happened to anybody. You could say luck had a lot to do with Michael Jordan's career. I used to say that Michael was also one of the luckiest players, because other than Game 6 of the 98 finals, he never really dealt with any of his guys being hurt. Scottie Pippen's back went out on him in the first minute of that game. His back started to just wig out on him. He was going back and forth in the locker room, and he had to kind of suck it up and win that game kind of by himself. But that was one game out of all those final series. So in a lot of ways, Michael did get lucky in terms of his players, his cohorts, his guys never really had any major injury. Whereas you look at Magic's time in the 80s, there were a couple series there, even in 91, where a lot of his guys got hurt. Even he got hurt in the 89 finals. You look at LeBron. I'm not going to go into there was really 3 series where LeBron it wasn't his fault. Number 1, 2015. 2015, Kyrie and Kelly Olynyk almost tore out Kevin Love's arm off. If Kyrie and Love did not get hurt in 2015, the Golden State Warriors do not beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. They don't, because LeBron had that team 2-1 with Dellavedova as his second best player.
Delhi.
Right? So that's one series, right? They come back the next year. Golden State has one of the greatest, if not the greatest, regular season runs ever. And they're one game away from winning to basically putting the cherry on the top, right? Cleveland comes back 3-1. They win the championship. Now, after that, everyone knows, hey, this ain't it. Cleveland's going to probably win back-to-back championships because now the Warriors got debunked. I felt clearly that LeBron was going to probably win 2, maybe 3 in a row, especially with how weak the East was. They had a pretty easy conference to go through. And I think mentally they destroyed the Warriors after that. Well, there was an opening, and of course Kevin Durant goes to Golden State, ruins everything. If Kevin Durant does not go to Golden State, I feel very, very, very comfortable in saying that LeBron at least wins one of those 2 titles. So between 2015, 2017, 2018, if LeBron wins 2 more titles in those 3 losses, he's sitting at 6 titles right now. That changes his career a lot. So I guess the conclusion at the end here is everything we're saying right now is if, should, and maybe if it happened. We can't live in that kind of world, guys. The results are what they are. As of right now, LeBron has work to do still. He can change this. He could change it a lot if he wins 1 more title. If he wins 2 more titles, I'm not going to answer this question anymore. I have nothing else to say. Because it'll be 24 years, 24-year career. If he wins this year, next year, let's say, I'm just using this as an example. You're talking about 24 years in the NBA, all the records, 6 titles, probably wins maybe another Finals MVP in that. I'm not going to answer the question anymore, regardless of how individually great Michael was. LeBron starts to put himself in an area where you can't really argue anymore of anything. You could just say, well, you think LeBron's better? Well, you're probably right.
But I wanted to go to add something on it before I get into Xbox. Natalia had said, Joe, that Kobe is her GOAT, and it should she feel bad about that? No, that's her opinion.
Well, Natalia, there's a reason. There's a good reason
because
for that.
He won it because he won it with back-to-back without.
Very true. Now,
without Shaq.
Kobe's career is very hard to compare to Michael. It's very hard to compare to LeBron. I'll tell you why. Kobe Bryant did not come into the league being the guy. He had to wait. And you also have to understand that Kobe was the first perimeter player to go from high school to the NBA. At that moment, at that time, it was a very, 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 what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't supported by coaches, by general managers. No one wanted 17, 18-year-old small guards to be in the NBA. So Kobe really never had a chance to really bust out the moment he came into the league. He had to wait. He barely played his rookie year. He played enough in the second year. Still irritates me he didn't win Sixth Man of the Year that year, by the way. Made the All-Star team as a freaking non-starter. That was the crazy thing, right? Played awesome in that. That's probably the best All-Star game I've ever watched, too. The Stars of Stars was in 1998, by the way. So you had Kobe come in the way he came in, which was never been done. He was the first. He never really played a full 82-game season as a starter until 2000. And they happened to win a championship that year. And he was first team all defense. Now, Natalia, you'll like this. I've said this a few times on the show. Accomplishments change so much of who you are in terms of the hierarchy of greatness. Kobe's great. I feel like he's the second best basketball player I've ever watched. It's essentially Michael 1, Kobe 2, and it's looking like LeBron is starting to pretty much solidify number 3. If Kobe wins in 04 and in 08, this discussion is different. It's completely different. Because so much would have changed had he won in 04 and 08. Had he won in 04, he would have won 4 out of 5 at that time. Had he won in 08, he would have three-peated twice. Had he won both, they would have won 7 championships in 11 years with 2 different dynasties.
Yeah.
That's a huge, huge feather in the cap that no one would have done in that kind of span, right? Maybe you can say Bill Russell had 2 different types of dynasties, one with Bob Cousy, one with Havlicek, like at the time when he was playing, right? And Kobe would have won at least one more Finals MVP. But more important than that, guys, is the Lakers would have passed the Celtics in overall titles. He would have beaten the Celtics both times. There's a lot of that stuff that no one talks about. That's just not set for stats. LeBron has a stat that a lot of people don't praise enough. He's won 3 championships with 3 teams where he was the Finals MVP. This isn't John Sally or Danny Green winning 3 championships. This is him winning 3 championships with 3 different teams and being the Finals MVP in each of those wins. I don't think you're ever going to see that, at least for a while. That is a stat that people need to talk more about with LeBron. So,
how about you? Well, how does Xbox feel about the greatest of all time? We never actually asked him on his opinions as a newer fan to the game.
Yeah, look, I'm a newer fan, but I'm born in '85, so I have seen a bit of ball in my time, and I think I've told you boys before.
Is it Giddy? Giddy's the greatest of all time?
He's close. He's certainly when you're talking about with the ladies, but
especially if they're young.
You said it, not me.
I don't understand this. How does a 19-year-old get flack for dating a 17-year-old?
Let's not go there. Let's not touch it. But
jeez.
No, agreed. And that's possibly why everything petered out in the end. But my first love in basketball was Hakeem Olajuwon. And obviously that was around the time when Jordan was very prolific. And then came my love for the Lakers, when Pau Gasol got traded there. But I started going for the Lakers around 98. Don't really know why. My brother goes for the Nets. I went for the Lakers, and that's just how we roll. So I've seen a lot of basketball, but obviously not to the extent that you guys have. But certainly my favorite player of all time is Pau Gasol, and that will be until the day I die. Every time I saw him on the court, I just couldn't take my eyes off him. Don't know why. Obviously, that Spanish connection with me resonates, but just absolutely loved the way he played. And I still do. And when I watch the highlights, it just means so much to me. But guys, I don't know. LeBron's been brilliant for me, obviously, and he's in everyone's sort of Mount Rushmore, and he's definitely in mine. But it's Jordan. When you watch the highlights, when you watch a documentary, the guy was just crazy, and the way that the world felt about Jordan. Just go watch some of those highlights from the '92 Barca Olympics when the Dream Team rocked up to Barcelona, and it's just so special, man. And maybe it was a different time where there wasn't social media and things like that. So there's still a mystique around Jordan that you probably don't get with a guy like LeBron. And that might take something away from me. But it's hard for me to really differentiate. At the end of the day, I'm a Laker fan. So Kobe is right up there, man. He is right up there. And what he did for us. And, the tragic death that he did have, Gerald, as well. I feel like we've lost a bit there around Kobe and the fact that he can't really be here to sort of stick up for himself in some of these conversations and that. I would have loved to have seen him be around and still drive the Lakers and things like, the All-Star break. that's a little bit of a blight on LeBron. Some of the antics that he has pulled around All-Star breaks and things like that. So it's all good. I won't get too. I don't want to upset the chat or anything like that. They're all really, really great players, but my favorite player is Pau Gasol. So in my personal space, he's my GOAT, and that's all I sort of concentrate on. But
and it's your opinion. You should be respected, man, for it. I mean, he had a great career.
yeah, he did. For a Spanish player to come into the NBA, win Rookie of the Year. In when was it? In the early 2000s, he won Rookie of the Year, and then to get traded to the Lakers and win 2 chips, and like Joe said just there, narrowly missed out on a third. Still hurts me to this day what we did trading him. I sort of that was you'll know that period better than me, Joe, why that trade happened, but it does hurt me because Powell didn't want to leave the club. And then he went on and had some pretty good years in Chicago, which he could have done for us. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Joe. I certainly don't feel like Powell was the one initiated that trade. So, yeah, I love Gasol. What do you think? What happened there?
Something happened. Something happened that we still don't know the meat of it. Something happened off the court between Pau Gasol and I think Shannon Brown. Some kind of interlude of something from the females in their lives.
Gotcha.
We never found out really what it was. Like there was never anything that came out where there was a definite of what was going on, but there was some rumor there. Now looking at that trade, the initial trade, the one that for CP3, once that deal didn't go through, it destroyed the morale forever. Both him and Lamar.
Yeah.
And the team was never the same. So
shout out to Lamar too.
As much as I love Pau, my God, I love that man. I absolutely adore him. That's why I could not miss his jersey ceremony. I was there.
I can't believe you went to that, man.
It was so hard to watch, but so beautiful too. It really was because he just couldn't stop thinking about Kobe the whole time.
I know, man.
And I was it was an honor to see him come in the first game against Atlanta at Staples at the time. I watched his first game in LA, and I saw him in his last appearance to celebrate his career in LA. I thought that was just kind of cool to be in that area. It really was, because I can honestly tell you this, that he was my favorite player between 2008 and 2012. Like he was a guy that I really, really enjoyed playing. He has a way about him that you just can't help but support him. He's just a good man. Yeah. And a great player, and making the Hall of Fame, and the love. Kobe is standing there. He just beat the Celtics. He just avenged the loss. He just won a second Finals MVP, second back-to-back championship. And the first thing he says is, I want to thank Pau Gasol. We don't win this without Pau Gasol. I mean, come on, guys. And this is supposed to be somebody that's selfish.
Yeah.
So whenever some dillweed comes to me and says, Kobe didn't pass, didn't do this, I'll get my phone and I'll go right to that speech. I said, does this look like somebody who's selfish? He's not even talking about himself. He's talking about his teammate. And you talked about Hakeem Olajuwon. When Hakeem Olajuwon won the MVP in 1994, he made all his teammates come to the middle, because at that time they would give you the MVP usually in the second round.
Okay.
And it would be a home game, and they presented in the middle of the court. David Stern would get out there, spit out the stats for that year, tell the crowd what's up. That was one of the really cool things David Stern used to do. He used to, it was like a machine with all that. He knew everything. And then he'd announce the MVP, and they were interviewing Hakeem Olajuwon. He's like, I can't accept this award without my teammates. They all got it. They all came to the middle of the court. They all held the MVP together. those guys. Why? Why do we love Hakeem Olajuwon? Why do we love Pau Gasol? Why do we love Kobe Bryant? Yeah, they're great players, Hall of Fame players, the greatest of all time type players. But man, the way they were is what we really, really love. And the way they respected the game, the way they respected their teams. And they weren't, I mean, Pau Gasol was the nicest out of the three, obviously. But I also love the fact that Hakeem Olajuwon slapped the shit out of Vernon Maxwell. So much so that he's telling that story in the podcast with Up in Smoke. And for those of you who don't know who Vernon Maxwell is certifiable. Like, he was nuts. If you think Artest was crazy or Draymond, you have no idea, folks. Vernon Maxwell, I think if it wasn't for basketball, he would have been a serial killer. He was fucking nuts, okay? He did something disrespectful. Whatever he did, he was explaining it. And Hakeem is like, you don't do that. Have respect. You're a professional. Well, he's like, fuck you, and all that. And all of a sudden, here comes the Nigerian fucking backhand right across his face. And Vernon said it himself. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. He's like, all right. He out of respect, he's like, he fucking slapped the shit out of me. I'm sitting there like, okay, no problem, Hakeem. It's your team. I got you, you know?
Did you see that quote over Joe? I found he came in and put his big old hands on me.
Look, man, Mark, Gerald, humbleness comes in very interesting times. It's very, very quick and fast. Sometimes you don't even see it. There was an instance years ago, okay? My uncle, love him to death. He's 5'10", about maybe 200 pounds, right? I'm twice as big as he is almost, right? Or wider at least. So my sister and him and I go to Florida for vacation to hang out. And for some reason, we started doing the bro thing where we started wrestling, right? And guys, I've wrestled my friends 1, 2, 3 at a time, whoop the shit out of them, right? Not even thinking. I get into a scuffle with him, and I couldn't move him. And he was laughing at me. You know how they say country's strong, Gerald? Like, he had like superhero strength that I didn't know he had. And I'm like sitting there looking at my sister. My sister's fucking dying. She's fucking laughing her ass off. She goes, oh my God, I've never seen my brother get played like this before. I'm trying to move him. I can't do shit. He's got me in a grapple and he's laughing the whole time. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, dude, I'm fucked. Like, I can't do anything. So we separate, and it was like the discussion the whole night. I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't do shit. He could have whooped my ass. Like, I could not move him. Didn't even phase him, like nothing. So those things it's always fun to discuss those things, because for those of you who think you're all tough guys, like I've been around a lot of fake tough guys, and most tough guys are fake. There's very, very few guys that are legit. The reason why there's very, very few, because not a lot of those real tough guys are really vocal, and they usually don't get themselves in situations where they have to show how tough they are. The only ones that think they're tough are the ones that usually mouth. And then what happens is, certain instances in life, you have to put your foot in that mouth. And it's quite easy, actually. Because they're too busy talking instead of focusing on what they're doing. So those times are great to hear. I love hearing stories where tough, crazy people get kind of served. Oh, you think you're bad, huh? Well, once in a while, humbleness comes, and it comes very, very, very harsh. The ego's going to get bit a little bit, but you have to also understand, hey, there's always a quicker gun, and it's a good story to tell. I guess that's kind of the fun part too.
Love it. Hey,
Yeah,
what do you think here about Ralph's comment? Ralph's a pretty good contributor around Kyrie over Damian.
And a relative Xbox.
Oh, wow. Of Joe or yourself?
What's with all these Twitch guys coming out of nowhere?
Don't worry about them.
yeah.
I got them. I'm messing with them
Random.
now. They're messing with us. I'm messing with them. It's no worries. It's kind
I
of fun.
take Kyrie over Damian Lillard personally in the top 75.
I'll quickly go before you do. I wouldn't, man. Look, Chip's a chip, but he was the second fiddle on that chip. I feel like Damian Lillard has had a pretty good career, man. I mean, he's a great three-point shooter. He stayed in a small market, possibly way too long. But he's just really, second, third, fourth, fifth, very close to a Steph Curry in terms of his shooting ability. Not Steph, Joe, but not far off either. Whether or not you think he's a top 75 player is a different argument, but replacing with Kyrie, not for me. Maybe if Kyrie becomes Australian, I'll put him in the top 10 players of all time, but he hasn't done that just yet. It's coming, but man, this ACL's put him back a bit, which is a shame. But,
Where do these? I'm sorry, Mark.
Hey, no,
They're
it's insane. I've been
professional
saying that. Yeah.
Hold on. Let's get some info here real quick. Why are there 1, 2, 3? Well, since when did we get this Twitch crowd in here?
It must have been some type of mini algorithm on Twitch that shows our show, and then
Really?
yeah, because this is
With Twitch.
We don't have this kind of feedback on Twitch. We usually get some random Lakers fans and whatnot, but yeah, this group seems to be they're going from channel to channel to do this stuff.
Normally, Twitch is all about bathtubs.
Oh yeah, but
stuff.
they don't know. They don't know. But they don't know.
No, they just mentioned how I get worked up. They know who I am.
No, they don't know how we like to mess with them. Like they think they're having fun messing with us. They don't realize that this is one of the channels that fights back and loves fighting back against them. No
I don't know who you are, Speen. I don't know who you are. Sorry.
Yeah. And
I don't talk to strangers on Twitch. I already know how Twitch works.
You're like this. You're a big, and as am I, of Thane. Thane's. I haven't seen.
Thane, I know. Yeah, Thane is my guy.
Yeah, he's Joe Q to you. What was he? I think he's got a good question. Better shooter, Clay or Dame?
Oh wow, no Clay.
Wow,
Clay. That's a good one though. Clay.
So
yeah,
good.
Clay. I would say you could argue Clay's the second greatest shooter of all time.
You could, man.
You could argue that.
Clay was insane at his peak, and obviously during that period, that's where I've watched the majority of my basketball. And I don't like the Warriors for what it's worth. I never will. But the dude,
what's wrong with the Warriors?
I just hate him, man. My nephew goes for him, but he doesn't know that. But yeah, they've had a lot of success when we haven't, and we were possibly at one of our darkest moments. Obviously not in recent years, of the 2020 onwards, but yeah, for me, Clay was just, it was almost automatic a few of those years, Joe. And that 1-2 punch, you'll never see. I don't know. I mean, there's, never say never again, because the league has turned into a 3-point shooting league. But that Splash Brothers combination, man, that was pretty crazy. And some of Clay's biggest highlights, the 60-odd point game off whatever amount of shots and dribbles he took. I think it was less than 10 dribbles or possibly a little bit more. And that 38-point quarter, dude, you just watch that and you just, that's absolute elite. So to have two players in the same team, far out. Yeah. Special stuff.
Yeah, Natalia, Dwight Howard belongs in the top 75. He was arguably the greatest defender, at least at his position, ever. I mean, it's arguable. I'm still picking Hakeem, but definitely in his era, I think he belongs on the 75. Joe, did you ever like the Warriors? No, I never liked any team other than my teams. There was a little bit of support for Hakeem during the Houston title teams.
Yeah,
but no, I was a Laker fan through and through. I've never cheered for anyone like I've cheered for my teams. A little bit for Hakeem, but that was because I liked Hakeem. Just like I like who was another guy I really wanted to win? Remember Ray Bork when he left Boston to play in Colorado? This is hockey. I really wanted him to win. There was a huge support behind that. I really as much as it hurt, I really wanted Dirk to win in 2011, and he did. I really like Dirk Nowitzki. I've always liked Dirk Nowitzki. I have a lot of respect for him. That's another really good dude. And I thought he got a lot of I thought people called him a choker. That really pissed me off, and I wasn't even a Dallas fan. I'm like, dude, this guy played his ass off in the 2006 finals. He didn't choke anything. Well, he choked against the Cold State Warriors the following year when he was a 1 seed. I go, just because you lose in a series you should have won doesn't mean you choked. Sometimes you just don't have a good series.
Brilliant European player. I'll just ask you one more. What about Duncan, man? Nat mentioned it earlier. Just sort of Duncan is a little bit forgotten in a lot of the discussions that we sometimes come about. 5 chips.
He's not forgotten. It's just he's not forgotten. It's just he's not better than Kobe or LeBron or Shaq.
Yeah.
And he's amazing. You could argue he's the greatest power forward of all time, but other than in 2003, you could say 99 too. But 2003 was really the 1 year I saw him work Shaq and the Lakers that year. Yeah.
The way his touch off the backboard was
he's
great.
No, he's great. He was great. He was in my life watching basketball, he's second behind Magic in terms of best team star I've seen.
Wow.
Like a guy that enhanced the team and was an all-time great.
Yep.
I don't care about Diddy, Robot. I don't care about that stuff. I didn't care about Diddy before or after.
No, we don't care about those kind
I don't care about sleazy baby oil scumbags. Sorry.
We have a joke every now and then, but we're not like that. Dame, no way Dame is better than Kyrie. Fair enough, Rasul. Well, that was a comment from a while ago, but all good. Hey, how about we just quickly? What are your thoughts on tomorrow's game, boys?
Or today's game against the Knicks.
Today, sorry,
it sounds like Karl Anthony Towns is going to be playing tomorrow.
He's dealing with a personal situation. I believe his girlfriend just recently announced cancer diagnosis, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my god! And he's had his mum die too. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Kat, man, because no one deserves that at all. But that being said, the fact that he's not there should make things obviously easier for us. And man, it'd be nice to beat New York. And then are we away after that? G, do we start the away tour?
Yep. Go to Boston on Saturday.
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
True. National.
The thing that I was saying this in the chat to our YouTube chat. I'm really worried about the back-to-back at the end of it with Milwaukee and Denver. That's unfair.
Yeah.
That wasn't even changed. That schedule, Xbox, wasn't even modified for the Fires. Those two, that back-to-back was already there and set by the league.
I think someone said it earlier. I can't remember exactly who, but one of the regulars. The NBA's done us no favors with this end of season schedule we've got going. I mean, I'd possibly expect LeBron to miss one of the games on this trip that's upcoming.
Look, they'll probably both miss the Denver game.
That's right. Yeah, sort of sacrifice that game or what have you, depending on how we're playing at the time, or how far in front we are. I don't know what is going on with Twitch, but
no, they're not missing the Denver game. If any game they're going to miss, it's going to be Brooklyn.
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
No, remember it's Milwaukee. They're playing.
Huh?
It's Milwaukee, Denver. It's Milwaukee, Denver, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, the logic is you don't. Yeah.
No, they're not. You can't. There's no time to miss any of these games. Sorry. I'll give you Brooklyn. I'll give you Brooklyn, but no, you can't. No, both of them need to play Milwaukee and Denver. Sorry.
right, you tell them then.
What is this? What are we pampering these guys now after
Oh, well, come
getting
on,
into the zone?
you know how they're going to. All right.
Who's they? I didn't hear they do anything like this.
Shit,
Alright.
bro. Yeah, no.
No. You getting paid $50 million a year. You motherfuckers need to play. Yeah. No. You don't miss Milwaukee and you don't miss the Denver game. I'm sorry. You lose those games, hey, fine. But no, the Lakers have a second seed they got to go win. They can't be mortgaged. This isn't Darvin Ham. This isn't a Darvin Ham team anymore. They're not thinking like that. Hell no. You want to rest? I'll give you this. Here, I'll give you this. They play Phoenix and San Antonio 2 days after they play Denver. You want to take one of those days off? I'll give you that. But
that's a back-to-back as well. They go to a back-to-back
correct.
and then right into a back-to-back.
Correct. But why would you ruin the momentum of what they're doing right now? It's not like LeBron is killing himself in these games. He is relaxing. He played 33 minutes yesterday or 2 days ago now.
That's a good
That
point.
was yesterday. Well, yeah, 2 days ago. You're right, because it's past midnight.
Joe
But,
going to stop you if you.
That's 4 games in 5 days. 4 games in 5 days. Guys.
I'm tired of this soft shit, man, from everybody. Jesus.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? LeBron doesn't look to take too much time off. So look, Joe, that's exactly how if we roll, especially if we get AR and Rui back during that trip, we might be able to rest the boys a bit more. So the aim's got to be top 2. So I agree with you. Resting against Denver won't happen, but they might find somewhere else. We'll see. But tomorrow's,
the schedule is not bad, actually. It's not bad after
that.
After this next, like between the 8th, because I know New York is going to be competitive today, but I feel like they're going to win, especially with Karl Anthony Towns not available. But from March 8th until, let's say, March 20th, that they play Milwaukee again at home. After that, they have Chicago, Orlando, Indiana, Chicago. Memphis is a good team. Houston, Golden State, New Orleans, Then they play Oklahoma City back-to-back games, and then they have Dallas, Houston, and Portland at the end of the year. So they really only have, like, from March 22nd, that last 3+ weeks, it's a very favorable schedule. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to finish this off and possibly get a second seed, but maybe no worse than a 3. I think if they can get a 3, sure, we'll take what we can get. But I'd like to think that you want to guarantee 2 home. You want to guarantee 2 home courts in this thing, so that you have a really, really good chance of making a run. That's just kind of how I'm looking at it. Where's the burger from? Is it from In-N-Out? Is it from The Habit? Is it Five Guys? If it's Five Guys, you got to take a down payment you got to take a second in your house to get that.
We'll be busy though, Joe. 7 games in 10 days. So,
well, Gerald, there's only one old guy in this team. That's it. Everyone else is in their 20s. Some of these guys are in their early 20s. Some are in their mid-20s. This is a young man's game. This is what they get paid to do. I think that's why these guys have so much energy on defense, guys. Is that they're young guys.
They're young. Yeah. And then LeBron just needs to do what he does best. Is run.
I don't count Markieff, Kurt. He doesn't play. He's like Jared Dudley right now. In 2020, he's a cheerleader.
That's still crazy. We had him on the team. He used to go pretty hard at the Lakers when he was playing for the Suns and what have you. Did Dudley play for the Celtics as well? Sorry, I might be confused there. He definitely played for the Suns. He used to.
He played for the Suns.
He was a prick too. I didn't like him.
He played for the Nets, Suns.
Yeah, cool. No, it was Celtics. I don't know where. got that from. That was obviously Rondo. Geez, Rondo played well for us in those playoffs, man. Used to hate him for the Celtics, but he had a great career.
I don't think I've ever seen. Well, with you, I don't think Xbox. I don't think I've ever seen darkness behind you. I don't think
I
I've
know
ever...
it's dark, boy. It's 6:37 p.m. for me. So, and you're 12:37 a.m.
Yes.
But 16 hours behind. And as you know, we've got the cyclone, bearing down on us. So that's possibly making it a bit darker. But
send some of that rain over here. Send some of that rain my way.
I'm happy to. You can take some of the wind too if you
just
like.
had some. We had a huge shower of about 5 minutes and it was just sprinkling. Yeah.
Wow, crazy. I know Joe's having some rain where he is, but yeah, it's all happening.
Clean out the streets.
It's a late one for you boys.
Yeah. Well, again,
it's good. No, it's good. I mean, yeah.
We the plan was to confirm it. Gerald confirmed it without me confirming it, so I had to kind of commit here. But I do want to thank you guys for being on the show here, and of course everyone, including the numbnuts that came out of nowhere from Twitch. Thanks,
Chris. Let me just say this, Chris. The guy lives in Surfer's Paradise.
Yeah.
How would you not be tan if you're at Surfer's Paradise?
Maybe.
Mark is not your typical Australian. He's got European blood.
That's true too. So
you know what this man does? We see in the chats what this man does in his off time in Surfer's Paradise.
Is he really listed as available?
Who's that? Cat?
Reeves?
Hold on.
Is Cat listed as available? I know Reeves is listed as probable at this point in time, and
he's playing. Okay, huge up because I'd read 8-9 hours ago. Now I guess it's different. Hold on, huge update on Carl after influencer girlfriend major fears over Carl and Knicks announced Carl status versus. Hold on, this happened 3 hours ago. Sorry, wasn't on the floor to this Knicks missing.
That's okay. Bring it on, man. Cat can play all he wants. Cat injury status. I'll have a look too.
Okay, thank you, website, for not loading up.
I mean, I seriously wouldn't mind that, given the circumstances that he wasn't playing under.
Okay, he will tomorrow.
He's listed
saying he will.
Okay, yeah, he is playing tomorrow, according to Ian Begley.
Ian Begley, New York. He's a Knicks. He's a forever Knicks writer. So yeah, he's a good source.
Well, bring it on, man. That's fine. I don't know. I'd have to look this up. But did you hear Jackson Hayes as being like the #1 rated center defender since the start of Feb? Something like that, Joe.
Yeah, since February 1.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
since February 1. And this goes back to what we discussed here before we head out. When you allow people to develop and play more minutes, sometimes they'll surprise you. Sometimes the rhythm catches on. When you don't let people play, it's hard for them to give their full ability until you give them enough time. And there's definitely an improvement in terms of who's feeding him. But you got to give him credit too. He has played phenomenal basketball. He has been great at what he does well, and he's also improved in areas that he wasn't playing well in. And I don't know how it's going to play out when the playoffs start, but if he plays like this in the playoffs, it's going to mean some really good things for the Lakers. It really is. And I don't see why he wouldn't, especially on the offensive end. These teams, there's really the only way you're going to beat the Lakers, I think, is if you do what the Celtics did to Dallas last year, or the Celtics do what they did today. Pritchard and
Castle. The big unit there. Yeah.
Why do we always forget his name? The one with a really bad haircut, but now he's bald. Late night, man. Jesus.
Yeah. I know. Derek something.
That's it. Derek White.
Derek White, yeah.
So both him and Derek White hit what? 16 threes today?
Yeah.
And
what do you do there?
And they were hitting logo shots too.
It was Pritchard. Pritchard was destroying.
Yeah. So the Celtics team.
Wow, true.
And there were a lot of mistakes, by the way. I had a chance to really watch some footage of the Mavericks Celtic final and how the reason why Luka was, and this comes down to coaching. Again, there was two things that happened in that series that was really aggravating. Number one, Jason Kidd got coached out of his freaking underwear and boots and wardrobe and life. And the reason why Luka got exploited was he was taking some really, really bad angles and putting himself in really bad positions on defense, something that he's not doing in LA. And that has a lot to do with the fact that JJ is putting these guys in positions and telling them what to do, and it's working. The same reason why Luka and LeBron and all these guys are destroying people, the reason why Luka and Dallas lost so badly last year in the finals. Putting yourself in bad positions, backpedaling, and while your opponent is going downhill, while you're going uphill, like all those things matter, folks. We've said this before on the show. When you're at this level, an inch matters. A half a second matters. It really, really does. And when you break down the film, you break down how a player is breaking down his opponent, or a team is breaking down a simple screen pass, and who's going to dive and how you dive. Do you dive in? Do you dive out? Do you dive forward? Do you dive back? Like all these things during a game that you don't really notice because you're just focusing on a player getting past some player, getting the ball in the hoop. If you really slow down the tape and watch how these guys create space and why they're able to beat their opponents and why they're able to get the space to shoot the shots, it starts to make sense. Not only to make sense when it works, but also how to stop it too. Those are important things to focus on if you have time to do it, of course, or you could just watch our show and we'll tell you, which is probably why they do that, right, guys? Why go watch it yourself when we can tell them? We're the ones doing the work. But we're happy that we're here for you to do that. I want to thank Mark for going into the night with us for the first time, by the way. And then Gerald, I don't know if you sleep 4 hours a day.
I got to get up at 5 after I put the show to bed.
Nice,
so I put
nice
on the audio. So yeah, I got to get up at 5.
Nice.
I'll sleep at 5.
Ralph,
what is the old saying? I'll sleep when I die.
Yeah, that's from Roadhouse.
Yes.
Yeah, it also brings forward your death, so please remember that.
I love Hawaiian pizza, Hernan. Don't get me started. I love now. You're getting me
That's
in the mood to buy
pizza.
Hawaiian pizza later.
That's not pizza.
Yes,
That's
it
pizza.
is. Hawaiian pizza is awesome.
Eating fruit off a pizza is not a real pizza.
It is. No. Hawaiian pizza is the bomb. There you go.
By the way, Ralph, your comments tonight were terrible. Work on them for tomorrow. When I come into town, you got to fix whatever you were doing tonight. I don't know if you were punch drunk from the gym or what, but half your comments tonight were terrible. Anyone
They
else?
are related, by the way, guys. That's why he can say
Thanks for breaking the ice, Gerald. Appreciate that. Maybe you can tell him my deepest secrets too.
You've said this on the show yourself.
I know, but no one heard me say it. But
how can they not? Especially with your gain turned up the way you have it.
Yeah.
I know that's what Twitch was. Those Twitch trolls that were here and gone, by the way, that's what they were complaining about, was that your gain was a little too high. So
my gain,
your mic, because the way your volume is I think your volume is like on its highest setting. So you might want to turn it down just 1 or 2 notches.
Where
you're loud, he's loud anyways, Xbox. But
it's just Joe's voice, yeah.
But when he gets closer to it, Xbox, he does start to clip.
Oh, that's why. Okay, so I got to buy that. What is it that you were calling it?
Well, a pop filter for starters, but your gain on your mic is set really high. I think most mics these days that you do have a gain feature, and I think yours is probably set pretty high.
I don't see a volume on my mic.
It's like a dial. It's like something right. Some might be a dial thing on your thing. Yeah, but
I guess I'll have to look at it.
Just let me send me the info or in the chat that we do off air on what model it is. And
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for that.
Have you guys had egg on pizza? Sports baby, I have, but it's horrible. That is where I draw the line because that's breakfast pizza. They have breakfast pizzas are pretty common, right, Joe?
Yeah, look, Aussie pizza here in Australia, Gerald, has egg on it, egg and bacon, so it's very common here.
I can't stand peaches. Cannot stand peaches. We got some peaches in the house. My wife likes them, but yeah, I can't stand peaches.
Man.
Nah.
I love olives, but
I'm
still upset about the disrespect.
Pineapple, yeah, with some Canadian bacon bits on it. Yeah, there you go. Not too bad. Although my favorite's still pepperoni with some mushroom sausage. The nice combo pizza there. Yeah, can't go wrong with that. See, Joe can agree with me at least on that one, right? A meat lover's pizza.
Yeah, can't go wrong with meat on pizza.
Yeah,
what about a good margarita?
I like an iced basic margarita.
Yeah.
I don't like the blue berry, whatever. I just want regular strawberry iced margarita.
Or yeah.
I knew what you meant, Mark. I knew what you meant. I'm basic. I'm basic with pizza. It's usually pepperoni. If you can add jalapenos and mushroom, that's heaven to me.
You're done. Yeah. Gold.
So we've talked football, we've talked baseball, we've talked football, we've talked pizza, we've talked Twitch trolls talking about other things.
Soccer.
This is what you get on the Nightcap. And with that, we're going to call it a night. Mark, thank you for being here. Gerald, thank you for being here. Everyone that's here supporting the channel, thank you so much. You guys see that I've tagged something here below me. The Joe Soro era begins very, very soon. And you will find more information within the week on my channel that will start right around the beginning of the Dodgers season. The Dodgers Fast Pitch will be one of the shows, but the name of the channel will be more towards my name because I guess that's what my supporters have said I should do.
Yeah, I think you should. By the way, take a look at this before you left. Chris wanted to put that up there. He took your advice on sliders for the Super Bowl.
Oh, excellent. It's much easier. It's much easier. It's kind of like cake pops for meat. If you get a cake, half the cake doesn't get eaten. Cake pops, it's easy for people to finish. Same thing with sliders. Not everyone always eats a full hamburger. Plus plus hamburgers shrink too, which is a pain in the ass with the buns. Also, I only supply half bottles of water, not the full ones when I got parties, because almost half the crowd will open up a full bottle, a full 12, I think it's a 12 ounce Kirkland bottle, whatever. And they'll drink 3/4 of it, half of it, 1/4 of it. The smaller ones, it's like 3 shots and usually it gets drink or people drink it. So just a little bit of experience in that world.
Good call.
But anyways, again, we'll be back tomorrow. I will be mobile tomorrow, folks. I don't know if I'm going to bring my equipment. I might be mobile on my phone, but I will be watching, and I'll likely be on the post game. I just don't know at what capacity. I'll have to see what's going on.
What is your agenda for the weekend?
So I want to go to spring training I want to go to a spring training. The plan is to get to the spring training game for Seattle on Friday and the Sox on Saturday. One way or the other, I'm going to one or the other. I'm going to try to make both. And the plan is to do a show with Jeff this weekend, should he be able to get over there. If not, I might do a show with him while he's at home, and I'll be mobile as well there. So I'll be doing shows mobile or possibly doing a show there with someone else. Don't know yet. Won't know until probably Friday.
Shout out to Juan, who was asking. So.
And Juan, I will let you know when I'm in town. I'm coming in tomorrow. I'm leaving in the morning. And then we'll dine in purgatory.
That'd be really cool. I meeting as trust me, meeting the people who watch you on a regular basis it's really cool. My time with Ozzy was really, really cool, and his family. So yeah, big shout out to them.
Yeah. Chris, if you need a break from the wife, I'm your guy.
Is it one of those guys? Is it one of those things, Chris?
He needs a bit of time out. Just make sure you get a whole bar.
What does she have you doing errands on a Sunday during football? Is that what it is?
Speaking from experience.
In my house, my wife learned long ago that you don't mess with a man in Sunday football. You don't mess with a man in anything in my house.
More to the point, yeah.
Well, hey,
Joe
look,
and Gerald, I just want to thank you for having me on, man. This is the first time I've been on a nightcap, so it's absolutely privilege.
really?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's good. Great.
Yeah.
Kurt, I have some items that that I've got to send out to you guys for prizes once I start my show, and we'll have fun with it. No, I'll have it here as well. I think I've been kind of holding on to certain things, and I think it'd be fun to spread it out a little bit. So we'll do some things here where I'll get some exciting prizes and stuff. I already got my boys this right here for Sean and Stone. This is the first run. There's going to be more. This one isn't necessarily the scaly the official Black Mamba jerseys, but I'm getting those next. This is still nice. It still has a little bit of a look to it like that, but
It's
the actual
your branding too, man.
yeah, and again, I can't sell these, folks. That's illegal. But I can point you guys to the direction where you can buy them, and there should be a problem there. Don't worry, Ralph. I'll hook you up. But with that, guys, thank you again for being here tonight. I will be back probably for the nightcap, probably sometime when I get back from Arizona. But I will be chiming in on the post and stuff like that, likely here the next few days, and possibly doing a Dodgers show with Jeff, depending on where he is as well. And with that, thank you again. And until next time, we'll see you next time. Oh.